Happy Monday to everyone, tuning in to Sussex Unmasked. And what a glorious start to the week it is to sit down, grab a hot cup of coffee, and unpack the latest chapter in the never-ending self-inflicted comedy of errors coming out of Montecito. If you are new here, or if you have been following along with our deep dives into the absolute circus surrounding Harry and Meghan, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. You are watching Sussex Unmasked, the one place where we do not swallow the expensive public relations spin, and where we call out the royal cosplay exactly as we see it. Now let us get right into it, because here in the year 2026, the wheels have not just come off the Sussex wagon, the entire carriage has plunged off the cliff. Look at Prince Harry right now. What we are witnessing is not a mature, liberated global leader, living his best life in the California sunshine. No, what the entire world is watching is a petulant man-child standing on the absolute edge of a nervous breakdown. He has spent the last 6 years throwing temper tantrums, burning every single bridge back to his homeland, suing every newspaper in sight, and attacking his own flesh and blood for multi-million-dollar paychecks. And for what? To end up completely isolated, commercially irrelevant, and emotionally unhinged. And make no mistake about it, the biggest blow of all has just landed, and it did not come from the tabloids, and it did not come from Parliament. It came directly from his brother Prince William. While Harry has been busy crying on camera botching court cases and letting Meghan Markle parade him around like a beaten puppy, William has been quietly, deliberately making moves behind palace walls. And what William has just finalised is something so permanent, so absolute, that not even King Charles can undo it. You see, for years people have debated whether the British monarchy should be run like a family or like a corporation. Well, Prince William has officially answered that question. William is not operating like a nostalgic older brother waiting for a sentimental hug. William is operating like the chief executive officer of an institution that has survived for 1,000 years. He looks at Harry and Meghan, and he does not see family members who made a few innocent mistakes. He sees 2 rogue former employees who stole company secrets, monetized private conversations, slandered the organisation on global television, and tried to burn the palace to the ground while Queen Elizabeth was dying and Prince Philip was in his grave. What chief executive officer, in their right mind, would ever invite a walking liability like that back into the boardroom? You would not let them anywhere near the building, let alone hand them a microphone or a royal balcony appearance. King Charles may have a soft spot in his heart for his youngest son, because at the end of the day, blood is blood, and a father always hopes for peace. But Charles knows his own time on the throne is limited, and William holds all the real leverage as the king in waiting. William has drawn a thick, permanent line in the sand. There will be no half-in, half-out arrangement, no ceremonial return, and no royal redemption tour. Harry is out, permanently. And as Harry watches every door to his former life slam shut, the panic is setting in. But how did William reach this point of ice-cold finality? What turned a once close brother into an unyielding corporate enforcer who refuses to even breathe the same air as Harry? Well, to understand that, you have to look at the ruthless calculation behind William's institutional strategy. When you examine the way Prince William operates, compared to the way Prince Harry stumbles through life, the contrast could not be more glaring. Harry is entirely reactive, governed by volatile emotions, wounded pride, and whatever grievance Meghan has planted in his head over breakfast. Whenever Harry feels slighted, his immediate instinct is to run to a microphone call, up a ghostwriter, hire an aggressive team of lawyers, or pitch a sensational documentary to a streaming service. He launches into these massive dramatic battles, suing the publishers of the Daily Mail, dragging the Home Office into court over his personal security, picking public fights with the royal household, and almost every single time he ends up losing in the most humiliating public fashion possible. It is like watching a yapping chihuahua try to pick a fight with a Great Dane. He makes an enormous amount of noise, but at the end of the day, he gets swat away with total legal and public relations devastation. William, on the other hand, operates on an entirely different level of discipline. William does not leak angry statements to friendly tabloids. He does not sit down for tell-all interviews to air petty, personal grievances. William watches, he listens, he gathers the facts, he consults with senior constitutional experts, and he processes the long-term ramifications before taking a single step. And when William finally acts, he does so with surgical precision, leaving zero room for drama, debate, or retreat. That quiet, ruthless efficiency is precisely why William's latest decision has sent shockwaves through Montecito. William is not thinking about tomorrow morning's headlines or next week's social media cycle. William is thinking 50 years into the future. He's thinking about the crown that will one day sit on his head, and more importantly, the crown that will eventually pass to Prince George. He's thinking about what kind of monarchy Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis will inherit. William understands with absolute unshakable clarity that the British royal family has survived for centuries through wars, revolutions, and constitutional crises, precisely because the individuals at the helm made brutally tough decisions when tough decisions were required. Over the last 6 years, William sat back and watched what happened every single time Harry was given an inch of leeway. Every time the palace extended an olive branch, the Sussexes turned it into ammunition. Every private family conversation was immediately leaked to American journalists like Gayle King. Every gesture of goodwill was twisted into a chapter for a tell-all memoir or an episode for a Netflix series. When the royal family tried to handle things quietly and diplomatically, Harry and Meghan took that silence as weakness and escalated their attacks. William realised that trying to appease Harry is like feeding raw meat to a hungry crocodile in the hope that it will eat you last. That is why William has completely and utterly rejected the fantasy of a half-in, half-out royal model. There will be no cherry-picking royal patronages while filming commercial advertisements in California. There will be no flying in for high-profile state banquets to get glossy photographs for their brand, only to fly straight back to America to cash corporate checks. William made sure that message was delivered through official unyielding channels, directly to King Charles, as long as William has a say in the future of the monarchy. Prince Harry will never hold a public ceremonial or official role within the royal family ever again. King Charles loves his son, of course he does. No one has ever doubted the king's paternal affection, but love and institutional survival are two entirely separate matters. King Charles knows that if he attempts to soften the line and bring Harry back into the fold, he will provoke the open fury of the future king. Charles knows that his primary duty is to ensure a smooth transition of power to William, and he cannot afford to alienate his heir, just to comfort a rebellious son who has repeatedly disgraced the family name. Besides, Charles knows deep down that even if he offered Harry an olive branch today, William would simply reverse it the second he ascends the throne. So why did William's patience run out so completely? What was the definitive moment that turned his personal sorrow into this unbreakable wall of institutional stone? The answer lies in the final heartbreaking months of Queen Elizabeth II and the unforgivable cruelty she endured before she took her final breath. To really grasp why Prince William will never ever forgive his brother, you have to go back to the summer of 2022, when Queen Elizabeth II was living out her final days at Balmoral Castle. We are talking about a monarch who gave 70 straight years of selfless, uncomplaining service to the nation. 70 years of putting duty, country, and the institution above her own personal health, her private sorrow, and her family heartbreaks. She lived through wars, political upheaval, and personal tragedies, and she never once weaponized her position for private profit or personal revenge. She was William's ultimate mentor, his anchor, the woman who sat with him every weekend during his school days, teaching him the constitutional duties of a sovereign over cups of tea. In those final months of her life, Her Majesty was in severe physical agony, quietly battling bone cancer behind closed palace doors. It was a period of intense suffering where a dying grandmother simply wanted peace, dignity, and the comfort of her family around her. And what did Harry and Meghan do during that sacred, fragile time? Did they put their petty grievances aside, pack their bags and rush to Balmoral to hold her hand? Did they offer unconditional love to an elderly woman who had given them everything? Absolutely not. Instead, they treated their dying grandmother like an adversary in a corporate negotiation. They threw up roadblocks, demanded government-funded, armed security, bickered over travel logistics, and insisted on ridiculous conditions before they would even consider visiting her. They were so wrapped up in their own inflated egos, so obsessed with their personal PR battles, that they denied an ailing 96-year-old monarch the simple comfort of seeing her great-grandchildren, Archie and Lilibet, one last time. And as if that cold abandonment was not atrocious enough, look at what they left hanging over her head while she was in her final days. They sat down with Oprah Winfrey and broadcast a vile, unproven accusation to 80 million people worldwide that members of the royal family were racists who questioned the skin colour of their unborn child. They dropped that radioactive bomb on the global stage, knowing full well that the Queen and Prince Philip, who was literally dying in the hospital at the time, could not publicly defend themselves. And then in the most cowardly move imaginable, Harry waited until 2023 to casually claim on British television that they had never actually accused the family of racism, blaming the media and calling it unconscious bias. Think about that level of malice. Queen Elizabeth went to her grave, with that foul, disgusting stain attached to her family's life work, all because her grandson and his wife needed a victim narrative to secure a $100 million deal with Netflix. And let us not forget Meghan sitting on camera in their documentary, performing that exaggerated mocking curtsy, openly ridiculing the centuries-old traditions of the crown, while Harry sat right beside her, smiling sheepishly like an accomplice. When Prince William stood at Queen Elizabeth's state funeral at Westminster Abbey, surrounded by world leaders and mourning crowds, he carried an unbearable weight of grief. He watched the greatest monarch in modern history be lowered into the vault, knowing that her final years had been poisoned, stressed and tarnished by the relentless commercial greed of his own brother. William looked at that coffin, and according to those closest to him, that was the exact second the switch flipped permanently. William made a silent, sacred vow that day. He would never allow the Sussexes to profit off the Queen's memory, and he would never permit them to drag the institution she died protecting through the mud ever again. William realised that every concession granted to Harry is an insult to the Queen's 70 years of sacrifice. And while William was cementing that resolve inside the palace, Harry and Meghan were busy proving his point in America, managing to alienate the most powerful, influential icons in Hollywood. And wait until you hear what Meghan did at a private California dinner party that had lifestyle mogul Martha Stewart seeing red. You know, when Harry and Meghan first landed in California, with their private jets and their grand declarations of building a progressive, compassionate empire, they genuinely believed they would be instantly crowned the undisputed King and Queen of Hollywood. They expected the Obamas, the Clooneys, Steven Spielberg, and Oprah Winfrey to form an elite protective circle around them. But what they failed to realize is that Hollywood, for all its superficial glamour, is a town built by people who actually worked their way to the top. The real power players in America, the billionaires, the media moguls, the cultural icons, value discretion, loyalty, and actual talent above all else. And when you look at the scorched earth trail of broken friendships the Sussexes have left behind over the last few years, it paints a devastating picture of why nobody of real substance will touch them with a 10-foot pole. Take the absolute disaster involving Martha Stewart. Now, Martha Stewart is not just a celebrity, she is an American institution. She built a multi-billion-dollar empire from pure grit, lost everything when she was sent to federal prison, and then rebuilt that empire from scratch through sheer business brilliance and unshakable authenticity. She is 85 years old, sharper than most Wall Street executives, 30 years younger, and she does not suffer fools. Well, not too long ago, Martha Stewart attended an exclusive private dinner party in California with high-level billionaires and media executives. And who happens to be sitting at the table? Meghan Markle. And what does Meghan do the moment she has a captive audience of wealthy elites? She starts gossiping. She begins spilling confidential, intimate details about Harry's private meeting with King Charles at Highgrove House, a meeting that was strictly explicitly meant to be a private family matter. Meghan sat there over champagne, bragging and complaining about royal microaggressions, mocking the protocol, and blabbing about the king to people she barely knew, all to make herself look important and connected. When Martha Stewart later mentioned what she had overheard, how did the Sussex public relations machine respond? Instead of apologising or keeping their mouths shut, an anonymous Sussex source briefed the media with an incredibly rude, obnoxious statement, suggesting that Martha Stewart, at 85 years old, must be confused about what she heard at her own dinner table. Can you imagine the sheer audacity? Trying to gaslight Martha Stewart, a woman who runs international corporate boardrooms, by claiming she is senile simply because she caught Meghan leaking private royal conversations. Martha Stewart did not back down for a single second. She doubled down, confirming every word. And that is just one example in an endless pattern of destroyed relationships. Look at David and Victoria Beckham. The Beckhams have a combined $500 million empire, genuine global cultural influence, and they welcomed Meghan to London with open arms, offering her fashion advice, contacts, and hospitality. And how did Meghan repay them? By accusing Victoria Beckham of leaking stories to the press, causing Harry to place an awkward accusatory phone call to David Beckham that permanently ended their friendship. Today, the Beckhams are closer than ever to Prince William and Princess Catherine, while the Sussexes are completely blacklisted from their circle. Look at George and Amal Clooney. Look at the Obamas, who pointedly did not invite the Sussexes to Barack Obama's massive 60th birthday bash on Martha's Vineyard. Look at Elton John, who provided private jets and performed at their wedding, only to distance himself after being dragged into endless drama. The Sussexes cannot maintain relationships with accomplished, serious individuals because their massive egos cannot handle being around people who have achieved genuine success through hard work. they can only surround themselves with sycophants and paid staff. And as those high-profile celebrity friendships completely evaporated, the cold hard numbers behind their commercial business ventures began rolling in. And the financial reality of Meghan's Hollywood comeback is so shockingly low, it will leave you laughing out loud. Let us talk about cold hard, indisputable commercial data. Because in the entertainment industry, you can pay for all the PR articles you want, but the box office figures and retail spreadsheets never lie. When Harry and Meghan walked away from the royal family, their entire sales pitch to Netflix, Spotify, and American corporate giants was that their royal star power would effortlessly translate into billions of dollars in revenue. They promised groundbreaking documentaries, blockbuster, feature films, chart-topping lifestyle products, and cultural dominance. But here we are in 2026, and the commercial facade has completely collapsed into an embarrassing heap of rubble. Let us start with their forays into film and entertainment. Do you remember the much-hyped independent film project, Cookie Queens, that Meghan was associated with? When that film was released, it opened in 450 movie theatres across North America. Do you know how much money it brought in? It pulled in a miserable, humiliating $735 per screen. $735. That is barely enough to cover the electricity bill for the projector and a bucket of popcorn. To put that catastrophic failure into perspective, a random 90-minute compilation of internet cat videos playing on only 255 screens pulled in nearly $600,000 in that exact same weekend. A reel of funny cats on TikTok outperformed a Sussex-backed movie by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And look at what happened with Netflix. Ted Sarandos, the co-chief executive officer of Netflix, who originally handed Harry and Meghan a massive $100 million deal back in 2020, finally had enough of the zero-return investment. Netflix quietly tore up their commercial retail agreement with Meghan. They completely scrapped the plans to distribute and sell her lifestyle products. The flour sprinkles, the homemade fruit spreads, the dog biscuits, and that overpriced Napa Valley rosé that critics joked tasted like sour vinegar. Netflix exists to make money. They are a publicly traded corporate behemoth. If Ted Sarandos and his executive board decided to terminate the retail partnership, it was because their financial analysts looked at the market data and realized that Meghan Markle is commercially toxic. She is simply not investable. Her lifestyle brand, originally teased with enormous fanfare under the name American Riviera, Orchard, and later scrambled into, as ever, has become an international punchline. Instead of high-end luxury stores begging to stock her shelves, the brand has been reduced to sending out desperate spammy promotional emails every single week, trying to convince people to buy $30 jars of jam. It is the behaviour of a struggling, bottom-tier, direct-to-consumer business, not a thriving luxury empire. And what about the speaking circuit? When Harry first landed in America, his agency was boldly demanding $1 million per speech. $1 million. Today, when Harry went to Australia for speaking engagements, his fee was slashed down to $50,000, and local organisers were practically giving away discounted tickets in local newspapers just to fill empty seats in half-empty auditoriums. Meanwhile, Meghan was reduced to charging $2,000 for dinner appearances during that same tour, pitching herself to regional crowds like a washed-up reality television star. Spotify already fired them and had their top executive, Bill Simmons, publicly brand them as fucking grifters on his global podcast. Their multi-million-dollar production deals have dried up their content, ideas have been exhausted, and the general public has developed severe Sussex fatigue. The world has realised that, without the royal mystique, without the palace backdrops, and without the royal titles, Harry and Meghan are just two deeply uninteresting middle-aged complainers with zero discernible artistic or business talent. And as the money dries up, and the commercial reality closes, in the psychological toll on Prince Harry has finally broken through the surface in the most public way possible. You will not believe the emotional meltdown Harry suffered at a charity gala in Canada, right in front of a room full of international billionaires. If you want to know how Prince Harry is truly doing, behind closed doors, you do not look at the heavily edited promotional videos put out by the Archewell Foundation. You look at his raw, unguarded moments when the cameras catch him off guard. And what happened at the David Foster Foundation Gala in Victoria, British Columbia, exposed the terrifying depth of Harry's internal psychological collapse. Now on paper, this gala was supposed to be a triumph for the Sussexes. It was a high-profile black-tie charity event filled with deep-pocketed Canadian philanthropists, music industry, royalty, and wealthy donors. The exact kind of room Harry and Meghan desperately need to impress, given their cratering bank accounts. They were flown in on a private jet, put up in luxury suites, and given front row seats to project an image of power, relevance, and Hollywood glamour. During the evening's entertainment, a talented young British singer named Sydney Christmas took the stage to perform. She chose to sing Tomorrow from the Broadway musical Annie. Now, as we all know, Tomorrow is an iconic, emotionally charged anthem about clinging to hope when everything in your life feels bleak, dark, and impossible. It is a song about desperately praying that the sun will come out tomorrow, because today is simply too painful to bear. As Sydney Christmas poured her heart into that performance, something inside Prince Harry completely shattered. Harry did not just get a little misty-eyed. He did not just politely dab a tear with a napkin. Harry broke down into full, uncontrollable weeping sobs right there at the dinner table. He sat in that crowded ballroom surrounded by potential investors and high society donors, openly crying his eyes out in a state of sheer emotional distress. Afterward, Harry approached Sydney Christmas backstage and admitted to her, with his voice cracking, that he felt every single word of that song in the back of his throat. Think about the sheer tragedy of that moment. For 6 long years, Prince Harry has looked into every camera lens and told the world that leaving his royal birthright was the greatest decision he ever made. He told us that Montecito was his paradise, that California was true freedom, that he had never been happier, and that he had zero regrets about turning his back on his brother, his father, and his country. And yet a simple children's song about hoping that tomorrow might be better than the absolute misery of today caused him to publicly fall apart in front of hundreds of strangers. And where was his loving, empathetic, humanitarian wife, while her husband was having an emotional breakdown at the table? Meghan Markle was on the complete other side of the ballroom, smiling from ear to ear, dancing to the music, posing for photographers, and working the room to make sure every camera caught her best angles. She was completely oblivious or completely indifferent to the fact that the father of her children was sitting 20 feet away, drowning in psychological despair. Meghan does not do depression. She does not do emotional vulnerability. As far as Meghan was concerned, the show had to go on. The brand had to be projected, and she was not going to let Harry's raw grief ruin her photo opportunity. The psychological truth is that Harry has a massive unhealed mother-shaped hole in his soul that has haunted him since Princess Diana was tragically killed when he was just 12 years old. He desperately latched onto Meghan because he believed she would fill that void, protect him, and guide him. But in reality, he has trapped himself in an emotional echo chamber of paranoia, resentment, and isolation. He is terrified of life without her, because she controls the schedule, she writes the emails, she negotiates the deals, and she wears the pants in that household. He is emotionally and practically crippled, marooned in a foreign country, with no real friends, no family, and no purpose. And just when you think Harry's life in America could not possibly get any more precarious, a massive legal time bomb is ticking in Washington D.C. that could destroy his entire legal right to remain in the United States. While Prince Harry is breaking down in tears at Canadian Gallows, a legal battle is quietly unfolding in the federal courts of Washington D.C. that should terrify every single person in the Sussex camp. It centres around a question that millions of law-abiding American citizens and legal immigrants are asking, with increasing fury. Why is Prince Harry being treated like an untouchable royalty above the law, while ordinary people face the full ruthless weight of United States immigration rules? Consider the experience of regular people trying to build a life in America. A retired American law enforcement officer recently spoke out about her journey, going through the official immigration and dual citizenship process for her family. It cost her $65,000 in legal and administrative fees. It took years of intensive background checks, endless paperwork, consular interviews, and required a completely spotless, squeaky clean criminal and personal record. If an ordinary applicant makes a single false statement or conceals a minor past infraction, their visa is instantly denied and they are barred from entering the country. Look at international celebrities of genuine monumental talent. When the late British singing icon Amy Winehouse applied for a United States visa to perform at the Grammy Awards, she was flatly denied entry because of documented past drug use. When British supermodel Kate Moss faced allegations of substance use, she faced severe restrictions at the American border. The United States Immigration and Nationality Act is crystal clear. Admitting to the use of illegal controlled substances is standard non-negotiable grounds for visa denial or deportation. And what did Prince Harry do? In his multi-million-dollar memoir, Spare Harry did not just hint at casual experimentation. Harry bragged openly to the entire world about taking cocaine on multiple occasions, consuming psychedelic magic mushrooms at a celebrity party in California, and using ayahuasca and marijuana as regular therapeutic tools. He did not express remorse. He marketed his drug use to sell books, pocketing tens of millions of dollars in the process, and then sat down for televised interviews to discuss how psychedelics opened his mind. When the Conservative Heritage Foundation rightly filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit demanding to see Harry's immigration records to determine whether he lied on his entry visa application or received illegal preferential treatment, what did the United States State Department and Department of Homeland Security do? They clamped down with unprecedented secrecy. The State Department processed 18 documents related to Harry's visa and withheld all 18 documents in their entirety. Not a single redacted paragraph was released. Another 289 documents, amounting to nearly 2,500 pages of official immigration records, are currently being hidden from the public under the guise of personal privacy. 2,500 pages of government records hidden to protect one man. If you or I admitted to felony drug use in a best-selling book, no federal judge on earth would rule that our privacy outweighed the public interest. The only reason Harry is walking freely in Montecito today is because of a quiet behind-the-scenes diplomatic waiver granted exclusively to individuals of foreign relations significance. In short, Harry was given a pass solely and entirely because he is the son of the King of the United Kingdom. Think about the sickening irony of that. Harry has spent 6 years trashing the British royal family, calling the monarchy an abusive, archaic, racist institution that trapped him. And yet the only reason he is not being deported from the United States, as an admitted drug user, is because of the very royal birthright he has spent years spitting on. But here is the danger. Harry fails to understand that diplomatic waiver only holds weight as long as the British Crown chooses to support it. The moment King Charles passes away and King William ascends the throne, William will not lift a single finger to provide diplomatic cover for his traitorous brother. And while Harry faces potential legal ruin on American soil, Meghan is already putting the final touches on her ultimate escape plan. If you want to understand the true dynamic of the Sussex marriage, you have to understand the fundamental difference in how Harry and Meghan handle a crisis. Harry is currently in a state of complete emotional and psychological freefall. He is drowning in regret, paralysed by anxiety, and terrified of the future. Meghan, on the other hand, is not in crisis. Meghan is in preparation. And those two states of being are worlds apart. Meghan Markle is, and has always been, a master of the calculated transition. Look at her personal history. Meghan does not get traumatised by divorce. She watched her own parents divorce when she was young, and she views relationships through a strictly transactional lens. What can you do for me right now? And what is your utility to my personal ascent? When she was done with her first husband, Hollywood producer Trevor Engelson, a man who helped her get her early acting roles, she did not sit down for tearful therapy sessions. She packed her diamond wedding and engagement rings into a cold FedEx envelope, shipped them back to his doorstep, and never looked back. Once you cease to be useful to Meghan Markle, you cease to exist. For the past several years, Prince Harry was immensely useful. He gave her a royal title that made her a global household name. He gave her access to international media platforms, multi-million-dollar publishing deals, private jets, and the kind of worldwide celebrity she could never have achieved in 100 lifetimes as a minor actress on a cable television show. But now, Harry has become a massive dragging anchor around her neck. Harry is losing his lawsuits, burning through his inheritance, getting humiliated in court, sobbing at charity galas, and drawing the negative attention of federal immigration officials. He is no longer an asset, he is an active commercial liability. And if you watch Meghan's moves closely in 2026, she is already executing the playbook to cut him loose. Look at what she has been building over the last year. Notice how Harry is mysteriously absent from her glossy birthday photo shoots. Notice how she attends exclusive Hollywood dinners and industry meetings entirely alone. Notice how her lifestyle branding, her social media presence, and her business pitches are carefully framed around Meghan as an independent, empowered female founder, with Harry pushed into the far background as an occasional prop. She is systematically constructing a standalone public identity, so that when the split happens, her brand does not sync with his. And the ultimate weapon in her arsenal is already in development: the solo tell-all memoir. We all remember how catastrophic Harry's book, Spare, was. It was whiny, petty, emotionally volatile, and destroyed his public reputation. But Meghan's book will not be an emotional outburst. It will be a cold, calculated, lethal corporate strike. Sources close to the publishing industry confirm that Meghan's memoir will be framed as the ultimate story of female survival. She will paint herself as the innocent, radiant American visionary who tried to save the British monarchy, was brutally bullied by the palace establishment, and then tried her absolute best to save a deeply damaged, unstable Prince Harry in California. She will detail his mood swings, his court battles, his drug admissions, and his paranoia, framing herself as the long-suffering wife who finally had to make the brave decision to protect her children, Archie and Lilibet, from the chaos of Harry's unravelling world. She will sell that narrative to the highest bidder for tens of millions of dollars, complete with a massive television special, positioning herself as the triumphant survivor stepping into her next chapter. Harry will not see the trap until the jaw snaps shut on his leg. He genuinely believes they are Harry and Meghan against the world. He has no idea that the woman beside him is already drafting the final chapter of his destruction. Let us take a cold, unflinching look at the absolute nightmare that awaits Prince Harry the moment Meghan Markle officially pulls the plug on their marriage. When that divorce filing hits the California courts, Harry will find himself trapped in the most terrifying, inescapable wasteland any royal has ever inhabited. First and foremost, look at the legal reality regarding his children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Archie and Lilibet are American citizens born and raised in the state of California. Under United States family law and international custody conventions, a parent cannot simply pack up minor children and permanently relocate them to a foreign country without the express written consent of the other parent. Do you honestly think for 1 second that Meghan Markle will ever allow those children to move back to the United Kingdom? Not a chance in hell. Those children are Meghan's ultimate golden ticket. They carry the titles of Prince and Princess. They represent a permanent biological link to the British Crown, and they are her guaranteed source of multi-million-dollar child support payments for the next decade and a half. Meghan will ensure that Archie and Lilibet remain firmly planted on American soil. So what does that mean for Harry? If Harry wants to be a father and see his children grow up, he will be legally forced to remain in California. Think about the horrific irony of that situation. Harry gave up his country, his military honours, his royal protection, his ancestral homes and his entire family, all to follow Meghan to America. And when she divorces him, he will be trapped in the very country he relocated to, for her completely alone living in a rented house down the road, watching his children through scheduled custody visits while Meghan parades her next wealthy billionaire partner in front of the paparazzi. And where will his money come from? Harry has no independent career skills. He has no university degree. He has never held a real professional corporate job in his entire adult life. His commercial appeal as a speaker is dead. His streaming deals are gone. His inheritance from Princess Diana and the Queen Mother has been severely depleted by multi-million-dollar mortgage payments, private security bills, and endless lost lawsuits. He will be bleeding money in one of the most expensive zip codes on planet Earth, with zero sustainable income flowing into his bank account. Could he run back home to London? Could he pack a single suitcase and beg for a cottage at Windsor? The British public despises him. Recent polling shows Harry and Meghan's popularity in the United Kingdom sitting near the bottom alongside Prince Andrew. The British people will never forget his betrayal of Queen Elizabeth, his attacks on Princess Catherine while she was battling cancer, or his treacherous slander of their institutions. If Harry tried to return to the UK as a private citizen, he would be met with deafening boos wherever he walked. His brother William will not take his phone calls. His father, King Charles, will be powerless to integrate him back into royal life. Harry will be an exile in America and a pariah in Britain. A man without a country, without an identity, without a family, and without a purpose. Harry thought that walking away from the British monarchy was a glorious escape into freedom. But in reality, he was just a foolish prince who traded a historic palace for a gilded Californian cage. And the final iron bars of that cage are about to be welded shut by King William V. When you step back and look at the entire sweep of this 6-year saga, the ultimate lesson of the Sussex collapse is one that Princess Diana understood completely, and one that Prince Harry tragically failed to grasp. The institution of the British monarchy is vastly bigger, older, and more resilient than any single individual who tries to fight it. Diana once said from her own painful personal experience that the crown will always outlast those who try to redirect it or burn it down. The crown is not just a collection of palaces and jewels. It is a 1,000-year-old constitutional entity that has survived civil wars, the fall of empires, and centuries of political turbulence. It survives precisely because it is cold, permanent, and institutional. Prince Harry arrogantly believed that he and Meghan were bigger than the crown. He believed that their celebrity glamour, their Oprah interviews, their Netflix series, and their social media followers could force the royal family to bend to their will. He thought he could hold the monarchy hostage, demand apologies, and dictate the terms of his royal status. He was completely catastrophically wrong. While Harry was playing checkers in the American media, Prince William was playing Grandmaster chess. William did not engage in public shouting matches. He did not run to the press. William simply stood his ground, protected his wife, safeguarded his children, and allowed Harry to publicly systematically destroy himself through his own greed and arrogance. And when King Charles passes the mantle and Prince William officially ascends the throne as King William V, the final institutional gavel will fall. King William will not hesitate for a single second. He will execute the final sweeping reform that the British public has been demanding for years. Parliamentary legislation will be introduced to officially strip the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, consigning them to history. Harry will be permanently removed from the royal website, formally stripped of his status as a Councillor of State and completely severed from the line of succession. The Sussex royal chapter will not just be closed, it will be erased. Sir Clive Alderton, the legendary private secretary, whom Harry bitterly nicknamed the Wasp in his memoir, may be stepping down after 20 years of brilliant service to the crown. But the institutional machinery he helped maintain is now firmly in William's hands. The royal household does not operate on personal sentiment. It operates on the ruthless preservation of the sovereign state. Harry will look back across the Atlantic Ocean, from his lonely Californian exile, and realise the full horrific magnitude of what he threw away. He threw away a lifetime of honourable service. He threw away the love and protection of a devoted brother. He threw away the respect of a great nation. And he threw away his mother's true legacy, all for a fleeting taste of Hollywood fame, with a woman who used him as a stepping stone. Harry thought William chased him out of the family. The brutal truth is that William never chased him at all. William simply held the door open, watched Harry walk out into the cold, and then turned the key in the lock forever. Thank you so much for joining us for this extensive deep dive on Sussex Unmasked. We want to hear from every single one of you. Do you think William is right to permanently shut the door on Harry forever? What do you think Harry's life looks like 5 years from now? When the divorce is finalised, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button and do not forget to share this video and subscribe to Sussex Unmasked for the most uncompromising royal analysis anywhere on the internet. Have a fantastic week, stay vigilant, and we will see you all in the very next video.